Well, since marrying a Malagasy woman, uh, I've noticed that I've been getting like little slight comments about me not having game because I had to go overseas to find a wife. And the reality is, game really isn't an issue why men go overseas to find a wife. You just couldn't find a wife here in the United States. The three things I teach my athletes and the kids in foster care is that you need to have three things in place before pursuing a relationship. You have to have your own place, your own job, and be financially stable. This goes for both men and women. And the kids that I raise in foster care, I've taught them the duties and responsibilities of being a wife and being a husband. As far as household chores and tasks, the duties within the household. And unfortunately, a lot of the young women, when they get to that certain age, they embrace the cook-up culture and the culture of the West, and went out there and did their hot girl summer, and nobody could tell them what anything, do whatever they want. And unfortunately for those, they're living with the consequences of their choices and are miserable, unfortunately, with those choices, with the exception of one. The guy she's with, I knew him since he was a kid. I knew his family. I vetted him. I suggested that she dated him, and fortunately for me, and for her, she obeyed. She accepted my advice and dated the guy. And she's still with him, and they're both happy for it. And hopefully, they'll eventually get married. They're still kind of young, so and start their family of their own. So I have one success with that, and she's also taught to be a wife, so she knows all the duties and responsibilities of being a wife. He, on the other hand, I don't know if he knows the duties and responsibilities of being a husband, but I know his father, and I knew him since he was a kid, so you know he come from good roots. So having the three things in place, your own place, job, and financial stability, I practice what I preach. I have those things in place. But I also have an advantage that most Western men don't have, is that I have a foreign accent. I'm attractive to black women because of my hair texture, my smooth dark skin, and my exotic eyes. Uh, women in general in the United States find me attractive in that regard because it's an exotic combination. Plus the accent. I'm not 6 foot tall, and I have a slight pot belly, but to me those things are negligible. I can't do nothing about that except the pot belly because I like cakes and cookies. And the only reason I'm addressing that has nothing to do with women attracting women. It's more about health. But to think that I am not capable of picking up, have enough game to attract a woman in the West is laughable to me. However, in third world countries, you don't need a game because it's natural for men and women to get together. Nobody's looking for what as selfish as like, what can you do for me, and do this for me first, and then we'll see, and all that stuff. If they're third world country, a woman have a lot more, less things. Complexities as far as chasing the bag, going to college, trying to achieve the same thing men achieve, because they have clear gender roles that they were taught from childhood all the way through their lives. What's expected from a man, what's expected from a woman, and they do that. And even though most of these women are working and out in the workforce, they still embrace and adhere to the culture and duties of being a wife, what a wife is. So they were trained, and they got job experience being wives in their own families, catering to the men in their families, their brothers, and all that stuff, and vice versa. The husbands and the brothers had duties that they learned from the household and practiced in the household. So when they go out into the world and start their own family, they're already husbands and they're already wives. The problem with the United States is that, yes, it's easy to pick up women, especially in this hookup culture with social media. It's very, very easy for someone like myself to do that, despite not being 6 foot tall. It's not a difficult thing. The difficult thing is finding a woman that's a wife, Because if you marry somebody in the West, that doesn't necessarily make them a wife, because they don't have the training nor the experience to be a wife. You have to be a wife first. You can't just marry and automatically become a wife. And in that regard, is the main reason I went overseas, to find a woman who was already taught by through her culture to be a wife. And I was fortunate enough to find that in a short period of time, very short period of time. And you can use the excuse that maybe I use a game there, but I didn't. I was just who I am, and because I'm a foreigner, it probably lend itself to giving me an edge over a local guy. But the Malagasy women, or the woman that I married, is more about respect. She respecting me more so, and than what having being an American, because she had access to other foreigners. So it's not like I was something of an anomaly. Um, I'm just a person that followed through, I guess. But whatever the case is, you don't need a whole lot of game. You shouldn't need a whole lot of game to find a good wife. American women makes it impossible to find a wife, because they themselves are not wives. Even though they're giving away pussy by the pound, that doesn't make you a wife. It just makes having sex very, very easy. Anyhow, if you have any questions, ask it in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe. You all have a good day.